All right, well, now I say we get into Thrawn.
Thrawn.
I went ahead and took this off the shelf. This is one of my prized possessions of my collection. This is my Grand Admiral Thrawn Black Series, signed by Timothy Zahn, the author of this book. I read Heir of the Empire when it came out actually not when it came out. I guess I read it around the time of the special editions.
Really?
Yeah, but it was something that really, really affected me, and I really loved that.
It came out in the early 90s, right?
I think it was like 91 or 92. And I probably got it a couple years after that at the library. But
Did you stole it from the library like you did the other stuff?
No.
Oh, okay.
I took it back.
Okay.
I mean, it was one of those books that I would like check out over and over again. But yeah, this is a character that has been with me for a very long time in Star Wars. And I should say too, this is not a seal. Like, this doesn't come sealed. You actually can open this thing, so I have no problem showing you guys what this thing has, because it's pretty amazing. This is primarily the Thrawn from Rebels. If you can see this
He's
here.
got his little lizards.
But you can see a lot of really cool stuff here. It's fantastic. On the back is the bottom of the Chimera Star Destroyer as well, which is really cool. So I just wanted to show people that and just really emphasize how much I love this character. And after reading this book, how much more I love this character.
The book
I
is
hesitate
pretty
to
good.
use the word double, but I think I like it twice as much.
You like
Down with Thrawn.
the Thrawn twice as much?
Yeah. I loved this book. This last month for me has been very busy, and I've been juggling a lot of things, both at Blind Wave and personally. So I fell behind on my reading, not because I wasn't engaged, just because I was really busy. And at the beginning of this week, I realized I got 8 hours left.
Really?
And I did not have time. I had 2 days where I was doing Zelda and a bunch of other stuff, and I thought I might not be able to finish. I might have to ask Aaron, hey, can we not do Badonkagunk? Because I don't think I'm going to be able to have it done. But the last 3 days, I was like, all right, I'll just get through as much as I can and see where I am. Maybe I'll finish reading it like a couple hours before Badonkagunk or something. But
Sure.
the last 2 nights, I've stayed up until about 2 or 3 a.m.
Oh, geez, really?
In utter bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even feel tired.
I do want to
I feel like my brain got rested by how great this book was.
I do want to say, I think one thing with it too is that I've listened to every other book so far.
Yeah.
On a faster speed.
Uh-huh.
This is the only book I didn't, because the delivery that Mark Thompson has as Thrawn, I felt like was wrong to increase it any faster. He has such a good Thrawn voice in this audiobook. Like if you read the book, it's great.
It's a great book to read, I'm sure.
If you get a chance to listen to the audiobook, Mark Thompson does such a good job with Admiral Thrawn.
I hesitate to use the word perfect, but I'm using the word perfect. He sounds exactly like Lars Mikkelsen.
Like Lars is just done so well.
He has this tension up in his mouth, but it's still coming from the diaphragm, piece by piece.
There's something about the way too where he's talking. He's like, he quivers on his lip. A speed of sweat goes across his forehead. And I'm like,
and it doesn't work if because I tried it and I was like, I need to save some time, and I increased to a little bit, and it doesn't work when he's like, his brow slightly goes up, and it doesn't work.
No,
his brow slightly goes up.
It needs it. I think it's part of the reason why this book is the audiobook was as long as it was. It was like 16 hours.
Yeah.
I think it's because, I can't read this quickly. I have to be Thrawn, and Thrawn is very, methodical and logical, and he takes his time to get to where he needs to get to, and it's great.
It's also a cool element in this book. As I was reading, there were certain parts where I'm like, I think this is good, but you could have shortened this up to maybe make the book a little quicker. But I got to the end, I'm like, no, you can't cut anything out. It's too perfect.
I think it was done really well.
Timothy Zahn is so good. So this is your first Timothy Zahn.
I've never read a Timothy Zahn book before.
This
is up there with me for I really enjoyed Brotherhood and Master and Apprentice. I enjoyed both of those a lot. They have some of my favorite characters in them, of course. Yeah. But this one is up there with that. And Thrawn, I just have from Rebels. The first time me meeting Thrawn, I was familiar with Thrawn.
Yeah.
But the first time me meeting him and having this is what the character is was in Rebels. It was season 3, episode 1.
Mm-hmm. In order to defeat an enemy, you must know them.
Yeah. And he's just this book does such a good job of introducing you to him. Yeah. Where did he come from, and who is he? And we journey the ranks right? Like, I don't know how long this book took place.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like we're over, like, I don't know, it's like over like 7 years or something.
It feels like that, yeah.
Because we go from, like, they find him to he's a cadet to he's a lieutenant to eventually being an admiral, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just, I enjoyed that whole journey.
Yeah.
And
if I could have Mark Thompson read every book I ever read again, I will quit Blind Wave and just start reading books.
What?
24/7. He's so good. He's that good.
As long as he doesn't do all the books.
He's also great at explaining action in such a, like, sometimes audiobook people, you can just tell, like, well, they're reading. Sometimes you can tell they're reading for the first time. Like, he just, like, he gets you in the action, like, he's so good at it.
In inflecting certain moments with the actions going on.
Yeah. And he makes such distinct character sounds, too.
Yeah. Well, I never really got confused too much. Like, sometimes I get confused between certain characters talking every once in a while. This one I didn't feel like I did. He does a really good job of having a distinction between, especially when it's like characters talking to each other. Mm-hmm. They're usually distinct enough that I don't get them confused with each other. Yeah. And it must be so hard to do that because I can't imagine trying to, like, is he doing it on the fly? Does he go through and, like, give a voice to everyone before he starts reading? I don't know how you do it, but he does a good job. I was very surprised in this book, though, about how much Orinda Pryce was in it.
Right?
I was surprised.
I never once asked to care about Governor Pryce any more than I did.
Rebels.
I thought she's an okay character, but there's nothing special. And now I want to rewatch all Rebels and be like, why do I care about this lady?
Dude, I would say this. The book does a good job of taking her into what I feel like she is in Rebels.
Yeah.
It
does. You know what? It does a really good job in making Imperial characters sympathetic, but never once losing what makes them our antagonists.
Yeah.
No.
Except I never didn't root for the Empire.
Yeah, no, I get you. I understand.
Like, I was never like, I hope they beat Thrawn,
Night Swan is trying to start the rebellion. I'm like, Night Swan, we'll get you soon. Like, in my head, I'm like, yes, get him, Thrawn.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I think I might have a new favorite Imperial.
Thrawn? Or are you talking about Eli?
I like Eli, but Thrawn I kind of put in a different echelon of Imperials. Eli Vanko might be my new favorite.
Not Yularen?
I like Yularen.
But
I like Yularen outside of the Empire. I like Eli Vanko for many different reasons, but I love his attitude. I love how... We have to get more into the book.
Sure.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
This book, too, I love... It had Thrawn. It had Pryce. It had Yularen. Mm-hmm. It had Palpatine. It had... Like, there were so many people. I'm like, Melanie, this book has so many people that I recognize their name. They're not new people. Yeah. They're people that I loved from, like, Clone Wars or Rebels, and they're being brought in. Like, it was so fun.
I remember when they first mentioned Pryce, like, I was like, wait, Pryce? You mean Pryce from Lothal? That Pryce? And I had to, like, kind of go back and be like, oh, no, Pryce is in here. Sweet.
Pryce mining.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we're slowly learning the connections that her and Thrawn have with each other and stuff, too. All the way, like, the book goes, I feel like, all the way to about the time he's in Rebels. Like, I feel like that's because she mentions, like, I have some rebels that need to be taken care of, and I think you're the perfect person for that,
No,
like,
if you are hesitant to read this book just because you're like, well, there's a lot of various things, it was Corners of the Galaxy I don't really want to get into. Like, if you're a Rebels fan and you're mildly interested in Thrawn, who is being set up as the next big bad for Star Wars?
Sure.
I mean, he is. He's going to be in Ahsoka. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on with Grand Admiral Thrawn. I recommend the book just because I felt like I could follow him right into season 3 of Rebels and lose nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we haven't read the other 2 books yet.
I know.
Isn't
there 6 total?
Well, there's like 2 trilogies, I think.
Yeah.
So, like, this isn't a trilogy?
Thank God there's 6. I wish there was 12.
Well, we have a lot to read before Ahsoka comes out.
We have a lot in August. I understand.
And we have Ahsoka. We haven't covered
Ahsoka.
that one yet either.
Yeah.
I think this book did a really good. Like, I've always liked Thrawn, like in Rebels, but I think this book put him to where I didn't just view him as like the Sherlock Holmes Imperial bad guy.
Yeah.
More like I feel like there's more to him now, and like. Is he bad? Like, him and his Night Swan kind of talking was a really good scene that I was like, oh, whoa, what's this? But I don't know. I don't know if jump to that. I don't know
what the hell is going on in Wild Space?
Yeah, I don't know.
He met the devil. He met Palpatine, and he's like, but there's a true evil out there. Like, true evil. So, do you know what this kid does?
So, in this book, we learn that Thrawn's from the Chiss.
Chiss Ascendancy.
Now, he was in exile originally, right? Before, is that how that worked out too? Do you know from Heir of the Empire? Like,
Yes.
he was in exile then too, right?
Yeah, he comes back from Heir to the Empire. Yeah.
So in this one here,
it's a really cool way of like mixing what Timothy Zahn, he's able to just do it again. Like, how rare is that? Probably for
let me write
an author.
Another story of the same character again.
Yeah,
and
he's like, you were hired to do these kind of like, off to the side things, but people love it so much, and now we're just hiring you to do it, but for realsies, you know? That's a really cool opportunity. But yeah, he does a lot of stuff to kind of like mix a little bit, because, I'm not really sure how much Timothy Zahn's version of Thrawn kind of was meant to be in Rebels. Like, certainly the archetype, but not necessarily the substance and the history.
Yeah, not the person.
But Zahn comes in and says, oh, no, you can do that. And they do. And I think it's exactly why when we were at Celebration and Dave Filoni talks about the heir to the Empire and how we're bringing in Zahn to consult on this guy.
Yeah, I think that you could lead into that same kind of story, right? Mm-hmm. But no, in this one here, we have him being found as like an exiled Chiss with some guy who can just happen to speak his language, luckily being there, which was, what's the language called?
Starts with an A, I think, right?
Is it an A? I thought it was a C as well.
You might be right.
Someone in the chat will say, and then I'll be like, there it is. But I'll think of it later. But having him had been exiled, and then the first two chapters of the book of them kind of like finding him and bringing him in and everything, I was like, okay, this is all right. We're gonna find Thrawn and stuff like that. And then like I love them being on the ship and getting to Coruscant and being like, wait a minute, where are we going?
Well, we're going to the palace.
Yeah, we're heading straight to the Emperor. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So Cybisti, that's it. That's why I thought it started with C.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Cybisti.
Do you speak Cybisti?
And I love the every once in a while he's like, it's why you're so like he says whatever it is, and then Eli's like, yeah.
He means in between.
Yeah. And I just like I like their companionship, I guess, too, because as you go through, like Eli's like, I don't want to be here, and then it's like, well, now we're gonna send you and this Chiss to the cadet academy place, right? You're gonna start learning to be Imperials, and he already gets like a lieutenant badge or something like that. I think like
he does
automatically.
Yeah,
which I love. There's so many times that he's like, I'm just gonna play everything as cool as I can.
Yep.
But not have all my cards just out in the open.
Yeah.
Like when he went to play cards.
Yeah.
Right? Literally, he like has this lieutenant badge thing that he doesn't put on until he's like, I need to put this on now. Too soon, it's not going to work. Too late, I'm going to get caught.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where sometimes in Rebels, like, he's just like, I'm going to pull this out of the hat, and I'm right. Like, this just, sometimes, like, he just fell into exactly, like, I understand why he's getting to the point he's getting to, and it just made him seem so much more formidable, right?
Yeah.
There's so many Imperials, and we've seen it in Rebels and whatever, where it's like, they are dumb.
Yeah.
You're like, what are you doing? They're either too much of an ego or pride, or maybe they're just underestimating the enemies and stuff.
Yeah.
But we saw it in Rebels too, where it's like, which one was it? Was it Constantine? Where it's like, we have them trapped. Don't move.
Yeah.
He's like, he wants the glory for himself. Go, and it's like, well, if he wouldn't have moved, I had him all. And it was always like his incompetence.
Yeah.
Like not Thrawn's, but it was the incompetence of his people that would make him lose whatever it was.
Yeah.
Or big giant tree thunderstorm things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know how you plan for that either. But
no, I don't know.
But this one here, like all the things he came up against had such a natural feel of him just figuring things out and explaining to Eli, or Eli also figuring things out, which I thought was really good too.
I love like Eli realizing that, Thrawn's been kind of like teaching me. I always thought he was holding me back, but he's been teaching me this whole time.
He's been like molding him.
Yeah. I just love that moment at the end when he gives him the journal and he talks about what Thrawn thinks a friend is and gives it to him. Oh, so good.
I like the epilogue too that it had. The thing he reads from the journal. I was like, that was really good. I was trying to find it early because I was going to read it again, but I just remember being like, that was real. I love this.
Yeah. The epilogue is so good because it ties in, like, almost every chapter starts with Thrawn, kind of giving like his journal thoughts, and then so many times throughout the entire book, he's constantly teaching himself how to read human emotion, and then someone he cannot read walks in the door. And he's just like, okay, all I'm getting is power and confidence.
Yep.
And there's Vader.
Yep.
I think it's such a cool, like, stopgap, like, because when I got to that moment, I was like, he can't read him. Like, he's even reading the Emperor, you know?
Yeah.
But
No.
Vader comes out, and thus, a challenge.
I also love, like, you go through this whole book and you spend all this time with, I don't know, there's rebel activity, there's smugglers, there's mining, there's all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
And within all this, Thrawn takes this little piece.
Yeah.
Oh, I learned this little piece of information. Oh, wait, did they have a slave transport? What was this here? And then, like, he meets up with the Emperor and he's like, tell me about the Death Star.
He's like, that moment was
what are you
great.
talking about?
Yeah. Where did you hear that name?
I just love, like, he is so smart. He's
Yeah.
like, I know there's this, I know there's this, I know there's this. Like, he's even talking with Night Swan a little bit, too, trying to, like, maybe we share a
I
little
love the
bit
conversation
information.
with Night Swan so
It's
much.
so good.
It's so good.
There's-
Like, if I had time, I just would have read it again. Or
Yeah.
listened to it again by Mark Thompson.
I started it again. Like, I've gone through it once, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to start this one more time, because maybe then I kind of, like, will grasp a little bit more. I'll understand, like, oh, this is where we were going with this
Sure.
that I didn't get before, you know?
And
that stuff happens. But
if Night Swan's on there right now. We
Night
have
Swan.
some images. But again, if you have not listened to the audiobook and you read the book, just go have a good time. Listen to Mark Thompson, because I don't have the experience of reading this book, but I read Heir to the Empire, and it's really elevated. So do yourself a favor and listen to the book.
sure.
It's on Audible.
The only problems I have with the audiobooks every once in a while is some sound effects feel too high for me.
Yeah, that can happen.
I had one.
There was one alien in here. It was so high.
I knew
I
exactly
wanted to just throw my earphone into the mower. But that was the only really bad one for me.
There was one, and it wasn't bad. It actually just
Yeah.
kind of worked. But I was sitting on my deck listening, and I had my headphones on, and there's a whole segment. I think it's talking with Night Swan, where there's like locust sounds constantly,
Yeah.
like locust, crickets, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And I was just sitting on my deck, and I'm like, man, they're so loud.
Really?
And then I took off my headphones. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it was in the book.
Yep, that happened to me when they were like at a party and there were people talking in the background, and I'm bad at hearing anyway. So at one point I was like, okay, no one's speaking to me.
No one's speaking to me. It's
Yeah.
okay. But no, it's done really well, and I love that confrontation with the Emperor, talking about the Death Star and how he's figured all this stuff out.
Mhm.
He doesn't know exactly, but also we have the conversation with Night Swan. This is what I was getting to earlier, and we kind of jumped around a little bit. But so he's in exile, is what he's told.
Yeah.
And then he goes in with the Empire. He does his cadet work and everything. He beats this, he beats that, does all this stuff. And then when he's talking with Night Swan, he goes through a whole story of like, I was not exiled, I was chosen.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And at first I'm like, is he lying about this too, or what's going on? But I love the idea that it's like the exile story we went with, so I would seem more, I don't know, suitable to join in with them.
Mhm.
But the idea that he is placed here by the Chiss ascendancy, and kind of looking into the Empire as like, are they worth it? Are they a necessary evil for
Yeah.
whatever else is out there that they know of?
Yeah.
That we might need them to fight. And I'm like, well, that could be interesting. What does that mean? What is he more worried about than the Empire? And the
Yeah.
Death Star is one of the things that he's looking into, because he's like, if this can be used against my people, it's a problem. And that's why I think, too, like this character, he's up there a little bit more for me now, where I'm like, I don't solely look at him as a villain.
Yeah.
He's doing what he feels he has to for his Chiss people,
Yeah.
right? And that has to do with, like, I need to fit in with the Empire and be a really
Yeah.
good admiral and whatever. And now he's a grand admiral. And in order for me to hopefully save my people, I have to pair with this.
Yeah.
And if that's all story bits that we're getting, where is that going and culminating to, you know?
I know.
Like,
And
I don't
that
know
can,
what to
that can
expect of
happen
that.
entirely on the periphery, and I can't wait to go into literally uncharted space. And
Yeah.
hopefully,
Like,
learn
is that
more
what
about
he's
it.
dealing with now, you know? Or, like, where has he
I don't know,
been?
man.
What is he doing?
He's such
Is it like another race? Is it, you know, monsters? Is it like using Vong were in the old EU? Like, is it something like that? Like, what kind of, what thing scares him more, like you said, than the Emperor and the Empire?
Yeah.
Because it seems like such a terrible, evil force.
Yeah.
That he's like, I'm willing to work with this necessary evil to prepare for whatever else could be coming for us, kind of thing. But it felt like he had an idea of what it could be. He just didn't say, you know?
He didn't say. Fucking Timothy Zahn didn't tell us. You know?
I know.
I want to know. The thing I think I like the most about him, especially because, like, how do you make me root for an Imperial character? he is almost entirely devoid of ego.
Yeah.
He has duty. He has practicality. Like, at one point, when he says, like, oh, I must do this because there is simply no one else who can.
Mm-hmm.
When he says that, it doesn't sound like he's being egotistical.
No.
It's just, as a matter of fact, I am the only one good enough.
Yeah.
You know?
And with that, I love that Arenda Pryce at least says that he is bad at politics.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, everyone says that to him.
Right? Like, he is not a political guy. He does not say things because he thinks it's going to be received well.
Yeah.
He says it because this is what it is.
Sure.
I either believe that this is the case or this is the case.
Yeah. And you kind of get the feeling like if he wanted to, he could be better at it. He just doesn't see any use for it. It's not practical to him, right? I mean, his mindset does go to a more authoritative mindset. You know, diversity is something that he fights against because when everybody has an opinion, there is no order and there is no objective truth because anything can be true in that regard. You know, it's really interesting stuff. I love when a character like that can get me, and I can disagree with them fundamentally on almost every single moral choice they would make, but I still fucking love reading it, you know?
Yeah, but I understand everything about it.
Yeah.
No, and it's interesting too. They have the battle of him. You said about diversity. It made me think of like the Imperial racism.
Sure.
That has been a thing.
Xenophobia,
yeah. Yeah, we've talked about like, well, they don't usually have aliens in there. That's weird.
Yeah.
But they kind of at one point gave like a pseudo reasoning, I suppose, talking about how like, well, we used to be the Republic, and most of the separatists were aliens, and we don't agree with them, so we don't like them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's just it.
Right.
All right. Well,
I love that. Like most of the Imperials have that point of view, and then also they have the point of view of like Coruscant and the Inner Rim being, you know, so much superior as well. Generally, whenever you think of ignorance, you kind of think of people that aren't in cultural hubs, you know.
Sure.
But the people that we see, like Eli Vanko and Horenda's parents and stuff, like they're a lot more open and acceptable to those type of things, you know. But yeah, I really love that Thrawn, like, he comes with no ego. That's my favorite thing about him. Whenever I look at other Imperials, especially like you mentioned Constantine and some of those other characters.
It's their pride.
Yeah, it's pride and it's their vanity and it's their ambition. And I won't say he's devoid of ambition, but it's not necessarily self-serving. It's like that he's ambitious for the greater good, but his definition of greater good is a little more warped than we like to think about it, you know?
Sure. No, I mean, you could go into a story where it's like there is a pseudo redemption for Thrawn to fight a greater evil that you didn't know he was even trying to fight this whole time, that he's been fighting you for the Empire.
Yeah.
You know, like we could go a route kind of similar to that. We've redeemed Darth Vader and he just did terrible things because like he wasn't doing it because he thought there was a greater evil that he had to do this for. He just fell into the dark side, worked for the Emperor, and killed off tons of
it's not like he made up for all the bad he did.
No.
But he was able to do one good thing at the end.
Yeah.
You know, and that was enough.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if all of a sudden, you know, Death Star 3 shows up, or 4, I guess, if you count Starkiller Base, but
sure.
If another Death Star showed up that Thrawn is now
There's like
prepared.
4 in Legends continuity. It's okay.
But
There's
like,
a prototype.
Thrawn's prepared for it or something, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, we would not have been ready if it wasn't for Thrawn doing this stuff, you know? I'm like, I understand, but he dies in the process. Like, you could do a route like that, maybe.
Sure.
After reading this, that's what I think. Before, I'd be like, he's just a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy for Rebels, but he's so cool and he's so smart and calculated. I love it.
That whole ego and ambition thing, I love the part in the Night Swan conversation when he really sits there and talks about, like, the Emperor is not going to live forever, you know? Yeah. And the next person, maybe I'll be able to choose or help guide that person.
Manipulate it in a way, right?
Literally the heir to the Empire. And he does not think of it as himself.
No. He doesn't think of him doing it.
He thinks just of his duty to his people and strategy itself, you know?
Sure.
But I love that he is describing himself, but he doesn't have enough ego to really do it yet.
Sure.
The Ahsoka series, maybe.
Maybe. I also love during that conversation, too, where he's kind of working with, like, he has a respect. There's a mutual respect between both of them. And he, like, invites him to join the Chiss.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he viewed him as, like, you have like a knowledge intelligence type of thing about you, and you're just a good leader.
Sure.
As opposed to, like, a lot of other people in the Empire I've seen are either not good leaders. Like Eli was the other one.
Yeah.
Those like the only two.
Yeah.
That I feel like he was like, you're a good leader, and you can think like logically, and like you can get through like different things.
And also he considers him his friend, and he goes that entire book without telling anybody anything about the Chiss.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't tell Palpatine, and he swears fealty to Palpatine. But his friend Eli, hey man, you want to go hang out with the fam?
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, I was wondering what was going to happen when Yularen showed up.
Yeah, right?
He's like, why should I put you in jail right now?
I should
And it's
shoot
like,
you where you stand.
oh, no, what'd he hear?
Yeah.
He's like, why are you here? I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he didn't hear a
He didn't
dang
hear
thing.
shit.
Okay. Old ears.
Yeah.
But no, Eli, like the growth on him, I love that. I can't remember who it was. There was someone who was giving like some kind of like speech or message, and Eli like took a picture of the recording and looked at everything in the background to try to like, all right, let's prepare. Here's all the art and
All
stuff
the
in the
art,
background.
yeah.
What can we learn from this? And,
Yeah.
and then Thrawn's like, well, he's just there in front of other people's art,
Yeah.
so this is useless.
Yep.
He's like, oh, it's like, but it would have been a good idea in other situations of what could have been moved or what was
Sure.
changed and stuff. So
Well, he
he's
has that one
he's like,
moment.
you have the right idea.
Yeah.
It's just in this moment, it's not useful.
Yeah.
But it's like Eli's growth. Like he's learning from Thrawn
Yeah.
of what's happening, and here's like a new step. He's like, I know the art and what they do and their culture
Yeah.
and stuff is important and their decisions. So let me take this and
Yeah.
try to use it.
Thrawn is kind of like in that moment, it's like, oh, he's doing what Daddy does.
Kind
you
of,
know?
yeah.
It was like, that part's not important because this guy's just trying to steal all the art. He doesn't care about what it symbolizes. He only cares about what it's worth. Yeah.
Yep. But I just like seeing the growth of Eli a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And the moment whenever he finally got his like promotion.
His promotion. Long time
Yeah.
coming.
And it, like Thrawn was like,
Yeah.
it was weird too because I think it was Pryce who was talking to him. He's like, "What do you mean they won't promote him?" Like it was like he didn't even think about it being a weird thing,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, "Well, we need to fix that." His ship being at the bottom of the list, like
Yeah.
all the things pushed against him, and he still like slowly just comes out on top.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it may be Emperor Yularen, Pryce, like he has some
Yeah.
connections and stuff to things.
That's
but-
got to be probably why Thrawn. I mean, there's many reasons why I think Thrawn and Eli really kind of like are magnets to each other. But like Eli also doesn't have much of an ego. Like he kind of just wants a humble life where he's like, I just want to do, supply management or whatever he wants to do. But even whenever they bring both of them back to Coruscant and they say, we're here to celebrate two wonderful officers, Eli does not, like, two people were summoned, him and Thrawn, and he doesn't think that he's one of the two.
Yeah.
And they go, and, we're going to promote you, Ensign, too. And he goes, oh, my God, they're going to make me a lieutenant. I can't believe it. Lieutenant Commander. He's like, what? Oh, I was so happy for him in that moment.
Nope, it was good.
Yeah.
I was happy for Thrawn for like kind of helping to push that more too, because
Yeah.
it was something that he wanted to have
Yeah.
happen too. He wanted both of them to come up the ranks together. So.
And it was, I guess, nice for Thrawn to have someone that he could semi-trust
Oh yeah.
throughout too.
No, Eli's one of the ones, and
Because at first he talks about with Night Spawn, he's like, when they first brought me to him and he happened to speak the language I can speak, I thought he was a plant.
sure.
So
So he kept him close to try to make sure he wasn't a spy
And
for him.
a short 12 years later, or however long it was,
Yeah.
they were able to create that bond and invite him out with a new Chiss lady.
Well, and Eli had a lot of story with him too. Like I think, like we met like his parents, right? We had like his struggle of not being promoted and him being stuck as this just interpreter basically kind of job and an assistant.
And being like the outsider in the like the core world stuff, being like the yokel that lives out there.
He's in
to
wild
the point where he
space
has that twang in his voice. He speaks like this, can't get away from it. They talk about how Pryce, she had it too, but she lost it a bit. But Eli doesn't even think about trying to get rid of his accent. That's who he is.
Yeah.
Why would he do that?
No, he'll say crate spit.
Crate spit.
Right? Isn't that what it was?
Yeah.
It wasn't great. It was crate, right?
Crate. Yeah, I think so.
I thought so. He's
Yeah.
like, it means like, I don't know, what do you say? Ridiculous or
Yeah.
something. But
I love when he said it and Thrawn's like, what was that term? Crate spit.
I love him like just trying to absorb.
Yeah.
Like guys, all Thrawn's doing like in most of this book is just trying to absorb everything he can and then push things back out in a positive fashion for himself, I guess.
So many other Imperials in the story act like they know everything, but Thrawn puts it on Front Street that he's learning as he's going.
Sure.
And how that's the most important thing is to learn. It's not to know, it's to learn.
And
anybody can know stuff, but it's a skill to learn.
Yeah. I've enjoyed seeing like having this book and having like the Tarkin book,
Mm.
kind of getting like their different upbringings
Right.
or rise to power.
Wasn't it exciting as hell when Tarkin showed up?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, dude, it's a crossover from the other book.
Yeah, no, I liked it. Did you? They mentioned what Kiana,
Yeah,
the pirate queen
Yeah.
lady.
Mhm.
Like Thrawn mentioned her,
Yeah.
or at least like I don't know, smugglers of hers or pirates
Mm-hmm.
of hers or something like that. Like some kind
Yeah.
of connection to them. And I'm like, wasn't she just in the Tarkin book?
Yeah.
Like that's who he like burn up in a spaceship or whatever,
That is.
right? Like that's
Yep.
like, ugh.
Yeah.
but
like that's I mean, I think they're pretty similar characters. The big difference being ego, because yeah, Tarkin is ego personified.
He is, yes.
Like he is about dominating those under him, whereas
Yeah.
Thrawn, I don't think is necessarily about domination. It is in terms of battle and strategy, but it's not. It's not to. He doesn't do it just to win. He does it for a purpose, right?
Sure.
And who knows? I mean, I hope. I don't know what the other books, the contents of the other books that we're going to be getting into are, but I hope that that's not stamped out in the Ahsoka show, because it really is the most interesting thing about him.
Like which parts? What do you mean?
Like
the...
Thrawn's greater good feeling. Like
Sure.
he has a reason he's doing all this, and it's not just to be a good.
I didn't
Empire
get that
loyal.
from Rebels.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I hope you're right
Yeah.
too, because I think that'd be a nice thing to kind of keep along,
Mhm.
where it's like he is bad, but why is
Yeah.
he bad? And we want to learn those things.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that Tarkin kind of has that idea of being what peak Imperials view themselves to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is prideful and full of ego and stuff too,
Yeah.
but he also has a lot of, I don't know, power, knowledge, like just
Ambition.
things to back it
Yeah.
up and
Yeah.
make it happen. Whereas like some of them have that ego and that pride, but they're just dumb as hell.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what are you thinking?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
not even thinking like you're not thinking strategically or anything. You're just
Mhm.
you're over ambitious. You
Yeah.
know. Whereas Thrawn, like all of his is like managed. I feel like,
Mhm.
and he's like, let me think about everything I can logically, strategically. It's not about me. It's about succeeding.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like what he looks at.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I like that.
Yeah.
He even prepared for that the attack there at the end, where it's like, I put like Yularen's like, why are these guys out here? They
You
shouldn't-
mean nothing about strategy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You have your 3 light cruisers at terrible positions,
Yeah.
you know. And then as they talk, he's like,
Are we down? Yeah. Chat disconnected. Please wait while we try to connect you.
anyone there?
Oh no.
We might still be recording.
We're still recording though, right? Yeah. Okay. I wonder what happened.
If I open it up on here, I wonder if it'll say like.
Well, damn, what happened? I'm gonna do 3 big audio strikes so that when Billy does this later, he can cut this out.
Is that what that was? Should you do it on the mic?
Hopefully, you can see those waveforms. Huh. Okay.
Imagine, because I'm hardlined in.
Yeah.
I also have no Wi-Fi, so it's across the whole studio, I'm guessing.
So the next book is Thrawn Alliances, right?
Okay.
That's what Nexus says.
Okay.
I imagine we're just going to roll right into that.
Yeah, I would say.
We didn't do a poll for Flash, but I think it's okay.
Someone said, "Damn, I was so invested, I forgot I was listening to it live."
Oh, really?
So please stay calm and panic. Bom, bom,
Well,
bom,
worst comes to worst, we
bom.
can just finish the show and it'll go up as a final video.
Yeah.
Just sucks that the live video won't be complete.
Vader's voice. No.
Where are they saying that at?
I'm just looking in the wild chat or the chat. Someone's like,
Oh, okay.
they're too far into wild space. Maybe they were boarded by pirates. Well. And Back in Time stuck in my head so much now. Back in Time is stuck in my head. Boom, 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 ba-now. What?
No, nothing. I was just looking at some stuff. There's a video you wanted to play too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe hard to without internet.
Yeah.
I could play it on my phone and we could add it in and edit maybe.
Okay.
Bonk, 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 radio. Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time? The earliest AOT dub would be June 24th.
Okay.
The earliest. That's not saying it will be June 24th. Just saying the earliest it might come is June 24th.
I bought a grill last week. I haven't bought a
What?
grill. I said I bought a grill last week.
Okay.
Not a girl.
I bought a girl last
Bought a girl
week.
last week.
And I'm like,
Jancy was upset.
does Jancy know?
No, I bought a grill. Try and teach myself how to grill again. I used to do it back at the farm, but I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah, I need to get my smoker now.
Mm.
Like I got the one griddle, but I want a smoker
Yeah.
separate. The griddle's great for like.
Sure.
I made steaks the other day,
Yeah.
and on the griddle I have one of those big like smash metal things, right? I don't know what they're called, but so I just set it on my griddle, just let it get hot. And then whenever I was getting the steaks, I tossed the steaks on, and I just took that hot griddle thing and just put it on top of it. So it's like searing the other side while it's cooking the other side and stuff
That's cool.
too. So I'm like, oh, good. And then whenever I flip it to cook the other side up through, it's already been seared and shouldn't lose as much juice. And Kanan was like, Dad, these steaks are delicious. And I'm like, oh, good.
Good.
And everyone was happy with them. I'm good, because lots of times I'll cook and they'll be like, why is everything burnt? I'm like, it's not burnt. It's charred from the grill. But the grill doesn't char really.
Sure.
So, like I made scrambled eggs on the griddle, and like everything's a little bit more blacker.
Gotcha.
And they were like, why did you burn the eggs? I'm like, I didn't burn the eggs. They're just cooked on the griddle. It's just, this is how they are. But I need to get more, what's it called? It's kind of like oil for it. Like, I think I call it seasoning.
Oh, okay.
I get more of that for it.
Sure.
So it's supposed to help keep it in good shape or something. And I ran out. What kind of grill did you get?
Just a small,
like the grate grill kind of thing.
Grill. Yep. Yep. Just a
propane. It's easier, but charcoal has like a nice flavor sometimes, depending on the charcoal you get. But it's
handy to just turn it on. It gets hot pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to experiment with how hot to make it, how long to leave it on, especially because I like the thicker steak and stuff. So
that's always the tricky thing. Like pulling it off too late or too early.
Yeah.
And Melanie gets in, it's like it's too bloody for them. I put it on too late. Now it's like too chewy. Damn it.
The first night I did it, my steak was way too done, but I didn't do both of ours at the same time. I did mine and then I did Jancy's. Jancy's was almost perfect, and it worked out for me because she only ate like half of it. Obi ate the too much done.
Yeah, there's a smoker I saw, and it's got like it can fit like 6 chickens in it or something.
Really?
Like something like that. I'm like, I can definitely fit a turkey in there then.
Yeah,
I wanted to smoke a turkey once, and it was so hard to get it. I couldn't get the heat high enough. It took so long to smoke it. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna do this again.
Yeah.
But these is like, it's like a little refrigerator that you open. It has grates in it. You can take the grates out, move them.
That's
you can get sausages and hang them on little hooks on the top.
Yeah.
Like it's like,
that's pretty cool.
This is so cool. I'm like, I want to get one of those. Just have it sitting next to the griddle, and I can choose which one I want.
Yeah.
I got an air fryer on the griddle, but I don't know. I don't like it. We've tried using it a little bit. You plug it into power, and then like it pushes the propane heat over into it, and then just air fries.
Is there any advantage to having that as opposed to just getting like a regular air fryer inside?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, not really. So, I mean, our oven does an air fryer too.
Yeah.
But I tried it with some French fries and stuff too, and like broccoli with like Parmesan cheese and stuff on it.
Yeah.
And it was okay, but it all had kind of like this propane taste to it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you're just kind of like, I don't know. I didn't know I liked it. So I'm like, well, maybe we won't use that so much.
Gotcha.
I'm assuming we lost internet everywhere.
I guess so.
Especially since, like you said, we're plugged in. Like it's not like a Wi-Fi issue.
Yeah. I'll stand up. I did a bunch of reading, yes, but I can't just sit there and listen to it. So I did a lot of yard work in the last 2 days. My body's kind of sore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Stuff that I've been meaning to do for the last 2 years I've got done.
I find I get distracted whenever I'm doing other things sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
So it's nice to just sit down, like sit on deck and just not do anything.
Back?
Oh, something moved over there.
Yeah.
Tell me, doctor.
Do we need to like do a whole new stream or whatever, or will it just come back up?
Shouldn't. As long as it's still up and running. What does OBS say?
Nexus says we back.
We're back.
Are we back?
So that was Thrawn. That was really cool. All done. Nothing else.
We're back.
You might be able to right click and reload the chat itself, maybe.
Well, I think Gonk was upset that you took his thermal detonator, and he ruined our internet. So why don't you put that back?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Immediately goes down. All right, everybody. Sorry about that. We're back. We're going to be continuing our discussion about Thrawn for a little tiny bit left here.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
I don't know.
All right, everybody. We'll see you. No.
I don't know. I don't remember what we were talking about. I know I was wanting to talk a little bit more about Pryce, I suppose, because we talked a lot about Thrawn.
Yes.
And Pryce was more in this book than I thought. I mean, I didn't think she would be in this book at all.
Me either. I was
honestly
completely surprised.
I guess I didn't expect how much of a time, area this would cover.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Like when she was introduced, I'm like, oh, okay, so we'll meet her way before she becomes governor and all that stuff.
Because when they found Thrawn, they had, they weren't headhunters. What were they? V-Wings, maybe?
Yeah.
They didn't have TIE fighters yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, how close to the Clone Wars is that?
Yeah.
Or is it like maybe it's still a year away from the Clone Wars, but they were in the wild space, so maybe they don't get like the newest stuff right away or something. You know, I don't know. But because of having the V-Wings, I'm like, well, this must be pretty close to the Clone Wars. But then by the time we end, I'm like, well, we're into Rebels, I think, territory now. You know, like she's Governor Pryce. She's talking about a rebel problem that she's having and everything. Like, I don't know. But no, her story I thought was interesting. I think that she's kind of like what's a good way to put it? Her story is kind of like a foil to Thrawn.
I would say so.
In a way. Like I don't.
And why he's not able or has no patience for or doesn't really care about politics.
Yeah.
Like the way that she's set up, you can tell why she's good at that.
Sure. Yeah. I felt like her rise to power to being governor came not necessarily because she was, you know, Thrawn has like this know-how, this strategy, these things that he does, and it gives results. Pryce, I feel like, was more because of what she was worth to someone else in a way.
Yeah.
Like Tarkin could use her and her information.
Yeah.
So I will put you in as governor because of what I can, what information I can get from you. It's not because you are the best suited to be governor, because you know strategy, you have an idea of what to do. It's because of what you're worth to me. Yeah. Whereas Thrawn, sure, he has a value to him as well, but I think it's because he's also capable. So he earns, against all odds, you know, being an alien in the Empire and stuff, like he earns his ranks and growth against everyone else trying to be against him. Whereas Pryce kind of just politically spy shenanigan kind of way.
She has an
pushes
element,
herself there. Because
she does, and
that.
she has an element of being vindictive and petty.
Yeah.
Like if she can screw you over, she will too.
Sure.
Like she'll try to get what she wants, but she'll also try to screw you over. Whereas Thrawn, as long as he wins, he will elevate people that are against him. Right? Like that one TIE fighter pilot that was part of the group that was trying to, you know, rough him up during the academy, and then he tricks that guy, or you know, they kind of create that elaborate scheme, like, hey, he would be a good TIE fighter pilot, and it turns out Thrawn was right, and Eli has that conversation with him where he like makes fun of Thrawn. It's like he didn't think when he tried to screw me over that I would achieve this, and you know. It's like, what, you think my parents got me this? And Eli wants to say, Thrawn got you that.
Thrawn gave you this. He told them to do this to you as a punishment, but also as to help you get into where you should be.
Like Pryce would rub it in, I think.
Yeah.
Thrawn doesn't care. Why was that a big, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I needed to achieve something, and this is a better empire for it.
And Pryce had a moment that goes really well with that, where it was about her only friends she's had for years, right? Which were Digger or Driller or something like that, right? And I don't know. I kept hearing Chewie, but it wasn't Chewie. But it was something like that. And it's like the only friend she had, but she would betray them. Both. To get the stuff she's after.
She would.
And Thrawn he didn't want Eli not to get a promotion. You know?
We got Driller up here too.
Driller.
Yeah.
So there's just this difference between the two characters and their rise to power that I thought was interesting, especially since they have a connection,
separate but equal,
like together with this book and with Rebels and everything.
Yeah.
But I have a video too. But leading into that, we can watch the video because it has a few things with it. One, the video I was wanting to show is a clip. It's the first time that I would have met Admiral Thrawn. It's the first time him showing up.
His first scene in Rebels.
It's the first time he shows up in Rebels. And I wanted to watch this and then talk about a few things in it. In general. But also just like, I don't know. It's interesting to be like, this is the first time I ever met this man, but I just spent 16 hours listening to
this
his
is
entire
awesome
life
because
story. You know?
I legitimately was just going to go home tonight and watch every Thrawn scene from Rebels.
Really?
Yeah.
No, yeah. So
let's
watch. This is the first time Admiral Thrawn ever showed up. Is season 3, episode 1 of Rebels.
There's Constantine.
I'm certain Governor Pryce is overestimating how organized the resistance is. While it's true there are pockets of rebellion, there has never been any evidence of a larger-scale, galaxy-wide operation.
And I would like to keep it that way. Admiral Constantine.
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Grand Admiral?
The Emperor recently promoted me after my victory at Baton.
That's right after, okay.
Civilian casualties outnumbered the insurgents at the time.
Acceptable margins, Agent Callus. But there are no longer rebels in that sector.
Well, Thrawn, what do you think of Governor Pryce's theory about the rebels in the Lothal
They even said the
sector?
name. Okay.
They do.
Private are rebels rescued from Naraka prison, Hondo, Onaga. Within the last hour, the Phoenix Squadron destroyed mining guild ships using the Zurita hyperspace waypoint. Taken separately, they may seem unrelated, but Onaka's cellmate was a laborer at our starfighter reclamation plant in the Yama system, one jump point away from the Zurita attack.
Grand Admiral
He does the same stuff he does in the
believes
books.
the
you know?
rebels intend to raid the plant and steal fighters for their fleet.
Every ship they add to their arsenal increases the threat to our own armada and the Emperor's plans.
I trust you have a solution.
I will start my operations here and pull the rebels apart piece by piece. They'll be the architects of their own destruction.
And then I love. This clip didn't show
Does
it.
it not show it?
But then when it fades to the next one, it goes to the planet and his eyes stay in space.
Oh, yeah,
just
it
a
does.
little
I
bit
remember
longer.
that. Yeah.
I just love that so much.
Well, let
But
me.
yeah, you caught, huh?
Yeah. I got to amend an early statement. If you want to catch up right to the edge of when Thrawn is introduced in Rebels, it's the margin is that small.
It's not
you
very
can go
big.
right into his.
Yeah.
We see the scene where he becomes Grand Admiral.
Yeah, he becomes that. And he's like, he just recently promoted me. It's like Moff Tarkin, right? Where it's like Grand Moff Tarkin. I will give you this new rank. He gives Grand Admiral to Thrawn. It's like, what's this ranking for? You know? But no, I was thinking about when the first time he showed up in Rebels was, and I was looking at this, and the thing that they mention is Baton, right? And
no, that's
like,
amazing.
That's in the book. That's the last battle that he has is against these insurgents and stuff. But
I never would have caught that. I mean, I would have tonight, but
whenever you watch,
I'm
it
so
again,
glad
right?
you got it on
Like,
Badalkagon.
That's Baton.
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting here too is that Callus then responds with the insurgents' deaths were much lower than the civilians in that. And in this story here, I didn't know what that meant at all in that, in that moment there. Yeah. But here, it's not necessarily that he showed up and started because Pryce thing's yes, but he took care of the rebels, and that's what matters, And she's gonna jump in on that.
We know exactly how she feels about that.
We see her just doing anything she can to save herself, right? She's like, they're gonna find the body that I left back here. Yeah. Which I can't have that happening. I got to get my parents out of this place and everything. And she just starts shooting and blowing stuff up just to get what she wants.
So much of her justification is mine, me, my parents, what I need. Yeah.
So whenever I went back and I watched that and I was like, oh. And then the book elements, I'm just thinking back and forth. I'm like, So whenever I watched this originally, I probably was thinking man, Thrawn just was killing whoever, I guess, huh? But here, and Pryce jumping in to defend about the rebels are taken care of there, so it worked. It just really pushes in this book what happens where it's Pryce was behind that. Because the first thing Thrawn did was get troopers down there right now. Not for attacking, for rescue.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, Thrawn, I love that. And it adds this element too where it's it's not about him, it's not he doesn't care about anybody. He still wants to help people.
Yeah.
But the Empire needs to be what it is for whatever he's after.
That's awesome.
So I just thought it was a fun connection that I never would have connected before because I didn't read the book.
Favorite thing about Star Wars is that the living mythology changes depending on the string you pull. I never would have, when I watched that the first time, been like, oh yeah, I know that's what that is, and I know what that means. I know how they feel about it, and it's different than what I should be feeling.
Yeah.
What Dave Filoni or whoever wrote that scene wasn't thinking about it, but now it's changed, and now I can think about it on a deeper level.
And that's
awesome.
That's just the first. I was just like, what's the first time I ever met Thrawn?
Yeah.
I wanted to watch that, so I watched that. I just put it on Disney Plus and watched
Yeah.
through that, and I remember like the eyes being like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
the eyes. I forgot about these. They're so good. But
Yeah.
I wonder how many more either connections for this book or in the other books that we may have in elements that he says
Yeah.
in Rebels and stuff too.
That's
that
cool.
Recontextualized. That'd be really cool to see.
I certainly was thinking about the trailer for season 3 of Rebels because it was revealed that Thrawn was in the trailer.
Okay.
That he was going to be in this season. I remember like the first line you hear is, "To defeat an enemy, you must know them." You know, and I remember thinking like in that moment, I can go back and watch the reaction. I remember thinking like, "No, they're bringing Thrawn into Rebels. That's crazy." But then in this book, when he's speaking with Night Swan says, "To defeat an enemy, you must know them." So he gets that line from him.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's cool. A little connection for me.
And this here and the book both dabble. Even Andor dabbles a little bit, where it's like
Yeah.
there are rebel groups around, but they're not joined, right?
Sure.
And in this moment here, they're like, there's no evidence of a larger rebellion. And he's like, I want to keep it
Yeah.
that way, you know. So he comes in with that. But
No, it's like when
cool
you
to
watch
see Night Swan kind of being another one of those smaller
Yeah.
rebels where he's like, I wanted to band them
Mhm.
together, but I can't.
Yeah.
But hopefully someone else will.
It's it's very much like Andor in that way, right?
Yeah.
Like I prepare for a sunrise I'll never see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, him, Night
With
Swan, Luthen. There's just elements where it's like they are fighting for what they think is right, and
Yeah.
they may never see the light that comes,
Mhm.
but they hope that what they're doing will get them there.
Yeah.
So
That's great. That's awesome. That really reminds me of kind of like in Clone Wars when Obi-Wan and Grievous meet up for like one of the first times, and he jumps down and says, "Hello there," and then you have to recontextualize. Oh, Obi-Wan's kind of mocking him when he says it in Episode 3. Hello there, you know, which is a meme, and we always think of that as Obi-Wan's thing. But I always like that it's like actually that's a thing they do with each
It's a
other.
thing, yeah. It's recontextual. If you just watch the movies,
Yeah.
it's got a different feel than if you read the books or watch the cartoons.
Which is
or-
true of all of Star Wars. You can't watch
Sure.
Episode 4 anymore the same way. You're always going to know that Obi-Wan is talking about Vader and Anakin. He knows they're the same person.
Sure.
But Alec
Even-
Guinness didn't know that.
Even after watching the original trilogy
Yeah.
too, like once you finish the first 3 movies,
Yeah.
you're like, you can't watch Episode 4 the
Sure.
same way.
That's great.
Like, man, Obi-Wan.
Damn.
But no, I thought with Pryce and stuff like that, I wanted to like bring that in, and I just
Yeah.
it's what he says, what Callus says, and what Pryce says all
Mhm.
there, and I was like, I feel like that gels so well with what I got in this book.
Yeah.
And I was really
Agreed.
surprised for that being something. I don't know when did Thrawn book come out versus when Rebels started?
This would have been like 2019. Am I right about that or am I wrong? I don't know.
Because I was trying to think. I think this came out after Rebels did, right? Like they didn't have the book yet. They did the book
I don't think so.
after. I thought.
Yeah.
Because season 3, episode 1 of Rebels was September of 2016.
Okay. 2016 was Rebels.
Thrawn.
This book
Book.
was 2017. Says Nexus.
April 2017. Yeah.
Okay.
So this came out the next, like, I don't know, 6 months after that did.
Okay.
Roughly.
Gotcha.
So I wonder
Yeah.
how much they paired off with that.
Well,
If
it takes a long time to read these books or write these books too.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's like a story group thing going on there.
Yeah,
or
because having that
not.
name drop there, I
Yeah.
feel like, well, you must have been having a little bit of planning between some of that, right, or something.
And then I also have to think it takes a long time, and they make those episodes way in advance. So Timothy Zahn probably had the script for a year or two.
Is it one
at
of those
least.
things where it's like, was it in the book,
Yeah,
or was it,
I don't know.
you know, the end of the beginning of Rebels?
Sure.
Like Rebels got finished, and they
Yeah.
okay, well here's this, so I got to get him to this point. What
Yeah.
happened here? So I don't know. It's always fun to kind of think about like the process
It is.
of all that, but I love seeing them gel together and be like, oh, dang,
I
that's
agree,
what this is.
and it's why I'm super soaked for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
It's why, like, you know, so many elements of Timothy Zahn's work and Lars Mikkelsen coming in playing the character, bringing all these things together, and it's why I do not want to stop reading these books.
No, yeah. I mean, we're getting close to the end now, and I know
Yeah.
we had a little hiccup and stuff, so we're going
Uh-huh.
to be having to cut here and maybe not get to questions. But we still have more Thrawn that we'll get to talk about because we're going into the second of the trilogy, which was, what would you say it was called, Eric?
Thrawn Alliances, I think.
Thrawn
is what it's called.
Alliances?
Or is it Allegiance or Alliance? Crap, I was so
Dang,
confident.
Eric, you had it, and I thought you knew.
I'm sorry.
Because I want to know more about this shoot. and I hope when we get into it, what was her name? Arizeliu?
Oh, the Chiss lady.
At the end that Eli went to. I want to know more about that. That stuff's gonna be so cool. I think she was an admiral as well or something.
Yeah, she had an admiral.
Alliances.
Yeah, alliances.
So it's called Thrawn Alliances. And I hope it's also read by Mark Thompson.
Yep.
And
better be.
I already like the writing and everything of Timothy Zahn in this one, so I'm looking forward to seeing like where he goes, what story, because like it goes right up to Rebels. So is this one going to be within that same year period? Is it going to be during Rebels? Like when's this going to be? And I'm excited.
One of the things that I'm most intrigued by getting more into these books is that action figure that I got that I had signed by Timothy Zahn. I met him in Parkersburg during a toy show, and I got that signed. And he was selling copies of his book. I hadn't read any of the books yet, but I bought one and got it signed. And on the cover is Thrawn and Anakin Skywalker. And he mentions here he met Anakin Skywalker.
That'd be cool, yeah.
So I think in the future we might get like a flashback and maybe get some scenes. Because not only did he meet Anakin Skywalker, now he's met Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And maybe we can do like a parallel story thing if we're going to be getting into that at all in these books.
It would be cool to go back and see like what his Anakin story was that he mentioned, because that was kind of like one of the things he had to mention to the Emperor, right? Was like Skywalker.
Yeah.
And
Jedi General Anakin
when would that have been,
Skywalker.
and what were they doing? Like was that another moment of like, I'm trying to remember what all he said, because I don't remember him talking about it too much. But like with him like working with the Empire, was he like also like prodding to see what? Because I don't know how far away the Chiss are. Like, was that him coming in and being like, "Oh, Republic and Separatists, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Let me kind of see how strong they are." Like, I don't know what the idea would be for like why was he there with Anakin?
Yeah.
So
I don't know either.
That.
I cannot wait to find out.
So I don't know if that's in this next one, but
no,
at some point,
yeah,
I would like to get into that story a bit.
Yeah, and we do have a little bit of a time limit with Ahsoka coming out in August, but we don't need to necessarily. I don't know, but we'll do our best. But at the very least, we're going to have 2 books under our belt for that.
Sure. I imagine we'll at least do this first trilogy.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that, right? Just do the first trilogy, and then we'll see where we're at after that. So maybe you guys can help us decide. But we'll probably end up doing, and if you guys read a lot and want to get ahead, we'll do Alliances, and I don't know what the next one is. There's a third one. I think one of them is called Ascendancy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's in the first trilogy or the second trilogy. So we'll get to those.
I enjoy my ignorance. I want to be able to discover it while I'm reading, so I don't want to look too much into it. Just that one cover, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So